guys, welcome to this video. In this video, like I said, we are going to create what a basic GUI time that's going to display us time in the GUI view. So before we'll dive into this program, I want to show you an example of what will be created. So when I run this program right now, I run this is the code. Okay, see it. Let me drag this to the middle. You can see this is what will be having. This signifies that this is 11 a.m. 59 seconds. You can see it on to 12 p.m. because currently now is 12 p.m. currently in my time zone right now. So this is just basically what we are going to create, something like this. You can see it's looking really nice, nothing really much fancy to this. So this is basically what we are going to create. But make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video. It's going to be really fun. Video is going to be really fun. So I think this is where we are going to start at the implementation of the script. So let me end this. Let me go to the file that I want us to write this code on. So let me go back to this file. Let me zoom this a little bit so we can see more. Let me close this. In our previous video, this is where we are particularly on, where we can update. We created a file, created a label, and then we updated it on our application. So let this run. Okay, so this is particular place where so to achieve the first thing we need, the first step thing we are going to do is to create a separate file for this of our create a file. Let me go to this my part and I'm going to create. I can say, let me name it project. I can say time project. I can say project.py. Make sure to end it with .py to signify that this is a Python extension. So I'm just going to copy some things that we have done in our previous videos. So I'm just going to copy some. I'm going to remove some of them, so I don't need to start from scratch again. So let me just paste it here. We are going to edit something because we don't need this background. I say the configuration or the setting of the background. We don't also need this label as of now. So what we also need to import another module, which is time. And say import what? Import time. So we're going to make use of local time inside this of our time to handle some things inside it, okay, like how we saw initially. So let me create a function. I'm going to rush this thing because it's definitely going to take a little bit of time, but I'm going to explain as we go on. So I can say I'm going to create a function clock. It's not going to take any argument. Then we're going to make use of the local time function inside of the local inside of this time module. So we can say, let's create a variable called, let's call it let's say time var. It's going to be time dot what? Time dot local, sorry, time dot local time. This time dot local time, I can say this local time definitely what it does is to get our current local time. So when we print out this time dot local time, we're going to get something like, let's print say time underscore var. So let me call this function, let's say clock. To run this, we should get our local time, kind of a time structured. Let me close this. You can see we get something like, the hour is in this particular index. This is 12, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So when we talk about index 3, it's definitely going to refer to that of 12 o'clock. So let's go to, let's say create a variable that's going to hold the 12. You can say time 12. I can say hour. I can say time underscore hour is going to be this of our time vr times vr index what? Index 3. So we'll also do for that of time minute. I talked about all this is in my previous video. You can say time minute is going to be, we know that hour is in that of 3, and then minute is going to be in that of 4. I also know this third one, which is seconds, is going to be in that of what? 5, like we saw earlier. So the next thing we are going to do is to check if the time is, the current time hour is what, whether if it's greater than 12. So we can say if the time hour is what, greater than 12, we all know that this is now PM. So we can say the current, you can say CRR time, which is time for current time. We are going to say is now, let's do f string. You can say that of our time hour minus 12, because that's the way to convert from 12 hour to sorry, 24 hour to 12 hour, we can write our minute. Nothing is going to do our minute. We are going to say time minute. We are going to do the next one, time our seconds, to get our seconds out. So then no, right now we're dealing with PM, so I'm going to put PM here. So let's just copy this. It's going to be similar thing. We're going to do when is 12 and then when is less than this. So I can say if is what, if its time is equals to 12, then we're not going to do anything. We're just going to, it's still going to be there now the current time, current hour, current minute, and current second. The last but not the least is going to, we're going to implement our as all these things. This reason I'm rushing this is because I've talked about all these things in my previous video in the time series when I talked about conversion from 24 hours to 12 hours. When I paste this here, so if it's not greater than 12, it's not equal to 12. Right now we're talking about EM, so I can put AM here. So we're done with the implementation converting from 12 hours to 11, sorry, from 24 hour to 12 hour time format. So the next we're going to do is to render it on that of our GUI at Tkinter DDL, just to convert from 24 hour time to 12 hour, to make sure that we're dealing with 12 hour time format. So the next step we're going to do is to render this on the screen, which we know are going to make use of the label. We can say clock label, clock underscore label. And what we're going to do is to make the label I've talked about in my previous video. What I want to do, because like I said in that video, the first argument I take is that of the main application. So in our case is main, going to be a comma, the main. What are we going to do next? We just want to set the font size. It's not a must, you must set it, but let's just set it. It doesn't really do much. Let's give it sans. I'm going to make the sans to be 20. All this is not really important. I just want this to look like what we did at the initial. And the second one is the background. I'm going to use the background. We're going to set the background to be white yellow. You can set it to any color of your choice. Let's say you want to set the height or the width, which you are not going to do, but it's going to be still end up looking similar like what we did. But we'll also try to set the height. A height to be what? Height will be maybe 25, and the width to be what? We can set the width to be 40. It doesn't matter. Set the width to be 40, the height to be 25. Remember, you can set it to anything of your choice. So the next thing we're going to do is to render this on our screen. You can say clock wall label the clock underscore label. Sorry, I made a mistake. This was a video. Clock underscore label dot what we're going to use pack to pack it to our screen or to render it on our screen. If I run this, you can see the background got changed, but right now we did not still get to see anything. See, we got a nice looking background like what we saw at the beginning of this video. This background look really dope. So the next we're going to do is to render this on our screen. Let me move this. And now we're going to render it on our screen because we have done everything that we need to do. So the second thing that we're going to do is to render this of our time this into our screen, which we are going to currently do now, because all of our this is going to be held by, all of our time is going to be held by this current time variable. So we're going to render that on our screen. We're going to, like, in a way to configure it like how we did here. It was like how we did in our previous video, just to configure the background. We're going to configure the clock label dot config. I'm going to configure it, and what do I want to configure this? I'm going to give it the text to be what? The text to be equals to, let me give this a little bit of space. The text is now going to be of our current, so it's going to be our current, what is this? To be our current time. So let's run this and see our output. Let me drag this down. Okay, it's not running. Right now, it's not still showing anything as well. Now, so we still need a few more little steps we are going to do to achieve this output to display on our screen, which is going to do in the next this year. Because right now, this is why this is not really running well, because we have not call this function. So let's call this function clock, which is going to be our clock. So let's call the function. You can see right now it's already showing on our screen, but the problem right now is that it's not working, because we see when we run this, it's going to take the current time that's available and then display it on the screen. There's no way, it's not, unless we put it in a kind of loop that keep on looping. But when it comes to that of application, running application, it doesn't work like that. So what we are going to do is to make use of a function, you can say a function, a method in that of this up our Tkinter. So how can we do this? We are going to come under here. The function name is called, or method name is called after. This after takes two arguments, made it two arguments. The first one is going to be that of the how many seconds you want it to be delayed. It takes what is called milliseconds. The second one is the function that I want to be run after that millisecond. So we are going to call the clock label dot what dot after. The clock label after here, we're going to set the millisecond. Let's say we want it every, remember it's millisecond, so 1000 milliseconds is equals to 1 second. So I want it to be run after 1 millisecond, one second. So, and the function I want to be rendered inside here is that of clock. So with this, wow, this thing should be working pretty well. So let's run this. You can see, you can see right now it is working really well. What is actually happening here is that this clock dot after is going to wait for after 1 second, then it's going to run this function over and over again. After 1 second, it's going to run. After 1000 milliseconds, it's going to run to display this output on our screen over and over by making use of the initially current time that we have to do all these things. So that's basically what us to look at in this video, how to achieve this. I know some things might be a little bit rushed. I didn't explain much, but this is basically what we need to do to achieve this, like how we saw at the initial of this video. The code is not pretty much easy to understand. I've talked about these guys in my previous video, so if you have not checked that video, I'm not to be blamed. If you check the video, it's easy for you to understand what we did here. Only what was new, I've also talked about this clock label, how to add label to your screen. Only what was new was just this guy that we added here, which is this will make use of this clock method to render this our function on the screen. And this guy also, this clock label dot config, I've talked about it when I talked about this dot config to configure something on the screen. What we configured was to our current time. We want the test to be configured on our environment, and then we're able to use this clock dot label to run it 1 second interval. So that's basically what I did in this video. If you're still getting it confused, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be attend to your questions and know how to assist you in answering them. So make sure to let me know. It should be the end for the video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll be happy to see you next video. Thank you for watching.